Well, in
So
fact, today, the Iranian
Arachi was in Moscow.
representative
Yeah.
who visited Putin didn't say it publicly. He didn't when he was sitting with him first. He just sort of said thoughts and prayers. He didn't actually go and say, "We'll
But
help you." So
David, did you hear what he said yesterday? He was asked in some conference in Moscow, sort of a provocative question, given who he is and how he runs Russia. How are you? Why and how are you not defending Iran more? And he said the following absolutely astonishing thing. Well, Israel is sort of a Russian-speaking country, so I have to
Yes.
validate.
Was really interesting. Yeah, I
Right.
agree with you.
Right.
Yeah,
All the
totally.
Jewish immigrants from Russia. That's exactly right.
That's right. So suddenly, if you're the Iranians, you're feeling really lonely out here. You don't have Hezbollah, you don't have Hamas, you don't have Assad, and you're suddenly discovering that your best buddies Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin decided to go on a vacation together when you actually needed them to show up for some work. So if you take those together, what do I think that takes you to? It takes you right back to what Joe just said before, which is my only friend may be a 20-kilogram nuclear weapon.
I yeah, I mean, I think all arrows point in that direction, Joe. And so what it could be is that for the next couple of weeks, and potentially for a few months or even a year, this could look like a smart move by Netanyahu and Trump. And then in a few months,
Wow.
or in a year, or in 2 years, we could be going, smacking our heads and going, uh-oh, that we produced exactly the opposite effect that we wanted.
Yeah, that's right. This could play out disastrously over the long term, even though it looks like we're winning in the short term. There's so much to discuss here. And your podcast, by the way, yesterday was just brilliant and just doing a lot of it. I just have one small addendum to
Well,
David's.
and the goal for us was how do we top this? And that's why we got you guys here.
Just one small addendum to David's point, and I think we're going to be revisiting a lot of the nonproliferation history of the last 30 years in the next few months. And this North Korea deal, yes, Clinton didn't attack North Korea in 1994, but he did get something. He got the 1994 agreed framework, which shrank and froze the North Korean program for 10 years until 2004, when what happened? George W. Bush pulled out of that agreement, just like Trump pulled out of the JCPOA on the advice of John Bolton, and we unleashed the North Korean program. And by 2006, they had tested their first weapon, and then we had no solution to that. So there was just like we have here, there was a fix. The deal in North Korea was working. The deal in Iran was working. And in both cases, Republican presidents started to reject that framework to go for something bigger, better, stronger, tougher, a complete victory, a complete elimination. It failed. It failed then. It's going to fail now. But next point. This is, everybody's been saying, we don't know what's going to happen next. This is highly unpredictable. This is the nightmare three-body problem. We have Trump, Netanyahu, the Ayatollah, three autocratic, unstable, unpredictable, unpopular leaders, all contending here in this death match. We have no idea what's going to happen. As Alon said, what's Bibi's end game here? What does he really want? Is he really after regime change? Is this the war he's wanted for 30 years? In which case, what's happening to the nuclear program is irrelevant, which may explain why the Israeli target set has expanded so much. You saw what they did just recently, blowing the doors off of a prison that holds political prisoners in Tehran. I mean, this really does look like they're trying to provoke the Israeli uprising, the Iranian uprising, to try to overthrow the regime in some way, weaken it so much it topples. But that gets us to the next question. What comes next? How do you do this? As Anthony Zinni warned us about this in 2009, the former head of the Central Command, after you've hit all those hardened targets in Iran, what happens next? And part of that is, if you do succeed in toppling the regime, what replaces it? Well, I don't think you're going to get an Iranian George Washington and Alexander Hamilton walking in and and freeing the Iranian people. And I think power flows to the people with the guns, and that's the Revolutionary Guard. And this could be a far worse government than you have under the clerics, which of course is Israel's pattern. It sees an enemy, it tries to kill it, and what it gets is a worse enemy. They attacked the PLO repeatedly, tried to kill Yasser Arafat repeatedly. What did they get? They got Hamas. They got Hezbollah. So we made the same mistake in Afghanistan. We went after Al Qaeda and Iraq, Saddam Hussein. We thought we were so smart. We thought we were going to get regime change. What did we get? ISIS. We got a chaotic Middle East. So the problem with both Netanyahu and Trump is tactics, power. Yes, they're deploying those very smartly. Strategy, it doesn't look like they have a clue. They're just playing for what happens tomorrow.
We have just a limited amount of time here. So briefly, Alon, from the Israeli perspective, the Israelis started this. They've been in this for longer. There seems to be considerable support in Israel for fighting this. I would note that there was a poll done in the US overnight that showed that 85% of Americans were against war with Iran and 5% were for it, which led some wit on social media to say chlamydia is more popular than the war with Iran.
The bubonic plague is more popular than war with Iran, which is one of Trump's problems, by the way. He has not built support for this. Unlike the Bush administration in 2003, there's no support for this war.
Domestic.
Usually it's measured by there are more people who think that Elvis is alive than people who support.
Well, in this particular case, that's true. But so, naturally in the United States, as you know, with narcissistic.
Wait a minute, Elvis isn't alive?
Sorry.
It's not clear, David. It's not clear.